What's up everybody, this is Apollodite and welcome to a very special astrology transit video of Venus going through Leo. So from June 13th through July 9th, we are going to be experiencing the phenomenon of Venus in Leo. So this is going to be a very exciting and a very passionate filled transit that's really going to help reconnect you with a lot of the things that you desire and the things that you really love about yourself. There's going to be a lot of magic to this transit with aspects from the nodes and from Jupiter and even from Mars, so we really have a lot of important decisions to make throughout this transit. And what does Venus represent? Venus represents relationships, she represents possessions, but she represents value and how you really approach other people. And so in Leo, which is a sign all about the ego and the identity, she really feels like she's a goddess on her throne, and she's really taking a stand for who it is that she really is and what is her message, what is her truth. And coming from Cancer, she really had to master her emotional sincerement by really expressing that to somebody. And in Leo, we're really going to feel a lot of this courage in our hearts start to pick up again, because Venus is the first planet in a while that's been back in Leo. So we're really in this position for us to really express the things that we love and express the things that we desire, not only about ourselves, but other people as well. When we can truly step into the center of our heart space and express that out to people, Venus in Leo is going to be really what rewards us. And this is going to be a very, very powerful and a very uplifting transit. It's been a while since we've had any sort of fiery aspects, at least in regards without the moon. So having Venus shift in here is really going to inspire us to really connect to our fun, to our pleasure, what really gives us joy, what really gives us satisfaction. Leo is all about finding what is the light that you want to attach to and attaching to it till the very bitter end. Because Leo's fixed, it's all about holding still. And the fire sign, being the fixed fire sign, Leo's all about really expressing and holding on to that little light of yours that you never want to let put out, because that's what your heart is, that's what your inner child is trying to get you to do and what you should be focusing on. And with the North Node being in Leo throughout this entire transit, this is really going to be a lot of fateful aspects, where those of you who are waiting for a twin flame, soulmate, romantic sort of relationship, this is going to be the transit for you, because it's really going to help you understand a lot of the things that you desire about yourself, but also about other people. And Venus here, she's almost in an exaltation where she can really feel like she's radiant and she's beautiful and she knows this. And so she really develops this confidence and she brings it with her. And unlike in Aries, where she's a little bit more egotistical and she might be a little bit more self-centered, Leo's all about love and just giving and shining on everything. So Venus here is really going to want you to connect to everybody in a very sincere way, whether that's for good or for bad purposes. Because this is really going to be a very dramatic transit as well, because Venus is all about how you interact with other people. And so having it in Leo, conversations and confrontations can be very direct and they can be very personal. And with a lot of other aspects going on, with Mercury being in Cancer for the majority of this transit, it's really going to be people speaking from a place of emotion rather than logic. And so Venus here is really going to want to make decisions based on the passion that she feels rather than being fair and objective like she usually is. Because keep in mind, she rules Libra, which is all about scales and balance and harmony and contracts. So there's going to be an element of us really starting to connect back to the internal world and the internal passion and what really keeps us going and what makes us feel inspired and what makes us feel beloved and what makes us feel lovable. And so Venus, thankfully, is really going to remind us of a lot of the importance of really taking care of yourself, really making sure that you're going to make the right decisions for you based on whatever it is that your heart is telling you. Because Venus is the minor benefic. She wants to reward those who do the work. But for you, you really need to be in a position to honestly express yourself. And this can be a very magical time where you're really going to find that a lot of people really can resonate with you based on the message and what you're really exuding outwardly. So I am going to go into the chart now, where I'm going to go into detail about how all the different planetary aspects are going to be affecting Venus. So see you in 1 second. So Venus in Leo initiating on June 13th, which is a Wednesday, at least Eastern Standard Time, is really going to be what activates our heart and really allows us to connect even more sincerely and more passionately and more expressively to another person. And so the first deacon of Leo is ruled by the sun. So we're really going to be aware of how a lot of these connections and a lot of these things that are being manifested are really going to synchronize with our heart space. And so we really need to be aware that due to this North Node influence, a lot of this has been preordained and fated long before you were even incarnated. It might have even been put into play even centuries or eons or even at the beginning of existence if you believe in a fixed fate, which not everyone necessarily believes. And so regardless of how you might feel about that, this North Node aspect that's really going to be influencing this entire deacon until the 22nd is really going to be all about you starting to understand and seeing the love around you and in your own heart. And so immediately after moving into Leo, Venus is going to square off against Uranus. And so this is really going to be what activates and what really changes a lot of the natures and the boundaries of the relationships that you are currently in and the ones that you are going to be exposed to based on how sincere you can really express yourself and really show the brilliance and the radiance of who it is that you are and how dynamic and expressive you can really be. And even if you're more of an introvert or more of someone who's more shy or more reclusive, this can really give you a lot of courage and a lot of confidence to do so. And you're going to have to at some point, especially with the future eclipse going on here, and with Mercury making its transit into Leo as well, that's really going to be what influences and what really allows you to perceive a lot of these deep personal changes that you're going through. And a lot of what Venus and Leo is going to be offering are relationships and opportunities for you to really manifest based on how sincere that you actually are. And so the square to Uranus is going to help clear away any relationships that do not value you and your uniqueness and what you have to offer. Uranus and Aquarius, being its sign, is all about separating from the mundane, separating from what might necessarily be the individual so you can focus on the cosmos, on the greater, on the macrocosm. So the square is really going to challenge and separate a lot of what the mundane has to offer you, which really isn't much anymore because Uranus in Aries was showing you exactly who it is that you are. And now that it's in Taurus is really manifesting and grounding and resonating with who it is that you are and what you value about yourself and what is so creative and unique about you. But worry not, because Venus is also trining Chiron and Aries. So this actually really might bring out a lot of insecurity issues, but this trine to Chiron is going to help give us the opportunity to really heal a lot of relationships and a lot of identity issues, especially in regards to relationships. Because keep in mind, Venus rules Libra, which is the opposite sign of Aries. And so this is really going to show you a lot of what the truth of who you are and what you really desire, especially in what your heart is calling out to you for. And the square that's, or opposition that's going to be building up to Mars is really going to be making itself known. And this is happening at the same time that Mercury made its opposition to Saturn, which really showed you a lot of the sort of values and a lot of the emotions that you really feel about the things that you really want to manifest and desire, and what is your goals and legacy, and what do you want to construct and what is ultimately worth it to you? But there might have been a lot of emotional turmoil. And so Venus here is really trying to remind you that the importance of speaking your truth and the importance of really honoring who you are, you're going to connect to other people who really do sincerely feel the same way as you do. So the more that you can love and give yourself the respect and dignity that you deserve, because Venus in Leo is all about royalty and dignity and being on the throne. She's a goddess on the throne. She's ready to rule. She's ready to take control. And with the trying to Chiron, this is really going to help connect to other people who might be outcasts like you that don't necessarily have to fit in with what the collective wants. And Mars on the South Node is kind of trying to decide whether it wants to go with what has been done before versus what the future has to offer and what's best for itself within the collective. Mars is sort of trying to figure out where it really wants to be going in terms of its friend groups and associations and really what it wants to manifest for itself. And as this opposition starts to build up, we're going to have the divine lovers um, opposite one another. So we're really going to have to choose a lot of the things that we really want for ourselves. And with that nodal aspect, it's really a lot of faded stuff. And you're going to see that until the eclipse. This is really going to be a lot of powerful aspects going on. And the Cancer new moon and the Capricorn full moon are really going to be ass kickers because they're really going to show you a lot of the weaknesses within you. But it's not to scare you, but it's to show you what you need to understand about yourself because it's going to be the most vulnerable aspect. So Venus here, she went through that in Cancer. So she's here trying to remind us of the beauty and the joy of life, ready to, celebrate when she can because she knows that life is best and it's only livable in the moment. And then things really start to pick up on the 19th when she makes the conjunction with the North Node and the quincunx to Saturn. So this is an extraordinarily fated aspect. And with Mars so close to the opposition, it's really an activation of a lot of fated connections and a lot of fated relationships and opportunities that are really going to help you get to where it is that you really need to be going, what fate has in store for you. And it's happening at the same time that the moon is opposite Neptune, now retrograde, which is all about you really divine or trusting in the divine and knowing that there is ultimately no control. Like, look at this kite formation that's being formed. It's really trying to remind you that ultimately the divine can only know everything. And so there's no point in worrying. There's no point in really stressing over anything long term because nobody has control and nobody has the answer. They're only Pisces, only Neptune understands everything, which is that nothing really ultimately matters in that sense in terms of this reality. So there's this sort of very strong fated aspect, and there's even a lot of just confusion. And as we're wrapping up Gemini season, it's really trying to leave us in this spot where we're trying to kind of remember and hold on to some sort of objectivity as we really start to move into Cancer, which is all about the pure subjective realm of emotions. And it's the bottom of the chart. So Venus here is trying to, again, give us a state of light and a state of being in a state of radiance as well. Because keep in mind, we only have Chiron and Aries in terms of fire, and we have the sun ready to leave Gemini, and Mars is going to get ready to retrograde within a week. So this is all about us really trying to hold on to what we know to be true about ourselves. Because Leo is the identity, it's the ruler. This is really what gives us a lot of what we know to be true about ourselves. And Gemini is reminding us what our personal truth is. And Venus is now taking that truth and now expanding it and bringing it out to other people.
So you're really going to have to take opportunities to really express yourself when the time comes and to really form these connections. Because keep in mind, Venus is a cardinal planet, so she takes the initiative to meet someone halfway. So you really kind of have to too. But of course, in Leo, you must never settle for less. You must never settle for something that is worth your time and your energy. Don't be with someone just to be with someone. You have to be with someone because you love them and you feel a connection and some sort of sexiness or some sort of passion to them. It doesn't necessarily have to be, a soulmate or even romantic. It can be a business partnership. It can be a child. It can be any sort of relationship that you have been desiring. But for those especially looking for love and passion, this is really going to be a powerful time for you. But the square to Uranus and Taurus is reminding you that it's going to come at the cost of something mundane, and you cannot go back to the old humdrum life. It's like in the Matrix, once you wake up, you can never really go back. And so you have to honor the things that you know to be true, especially because Mercury is now making the grand water trine with Neptune and Jupiter now retrograde. So Neptune, or rather Mercury, is trying to focus on holding on to some sort of emotional truth. And so this is all adding to Venus really trying to manifest something that is true and sincere to you. Because Cancer ruled by the moon and Leo ruled by the sun are the two most personal planets to you, because it represents your consciousness and your soul. And so, and it's interesting that in all systems of astrology, only the sun has ruled Leo and only the moon has ruled Cancer. And the other signs you can argue and debate their true rulership, but these two, they're always the same. And so there's this element of you that's going to really play a part in these relationships, and it's really going to depend on you and how real and sincere you can be to yourself, because the universe will co-create with you but only halfway. So you have to really meet it in the middle and be willing to make a bargain with the things that you want versus the things that you really need. And with Mars forming its opposition now, going exact on the 21st, this is really all about you trying to decide what is going to go on the ark with you before the flood. And it's really going to be all about the relationships and the connections that have true value and that truly resonate and respect your identity and what your heart is saying. Especially because the sun is now in Cancer, so we're now going to have to really look into the depths of who we are and the shadow of who we really are and what is sort of the darker aspects of ourselves. And the sextile to Uranus is really showing us a lot of connections that truly have the same value that we do. And this is really going to manifest a lot of connections very, very quickly, especially with the nodal aspect that the divine lovers are really making. Let alone the fact that there's a square going on to Jupiter and Scorpio, really trying to find the balance and the harmony between the two, where you need to focus on connections that really resonate to you on a heart level, but you also need to be making decisions and actions and identifying with something greater than just yourself, because this is your higher self really developing within you. And this is going to progress once we move through Cancer, and especially into Leo season once we get to the eclipses, which is going to close out the year-long chapter of us expanding our awareness to our fullest possibilities. And it's interesting that it's happening the same day that the moon is squaring Mercury in Cancer. And so this is really trying to remind us that the relationships, because Venus rules Libra, is really all about deciding what connections no longer resonate with us and are no longer healthy. Because the square to Pluto that it's going to make is really going to separate the layers, where we're really going to see the emotional dynamics of the relationships and how they really make us feel and what ultimately is best for us. Because there's going to be a lot of temptation for us to choose things that are not in our best interest. because Pluto retrograde is trying to really tempt us with a lot of unhealthy things. And it's up to us, especially with Saturn retrograde, to walk with integrity, because Saturn's really giving us a little bit of a break now to really change the way we approach things and to really edit our goals, because there's nothing wrong with changing things based on the practical realism. Saturn will never punish you for that. It's all about seeing how well you can execute it and what the final result is ultimately going to be. Ultimately, before things start to get crazy, in 2020, when we have the great conjunction with Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, and then everything shifts into Aquarius. But we have lots of things to worry about before then. And so, Venus now making her opposition to Mars is really going to have you choose what direction you really want to go in. And so, once we move into the second decan on the 22nd, this is really going to be how well you can truly believe in love and believe in your heart. The second decan of Leo is ruled by Jupiter, which is retrograde in Scorpio, trying to remind you of the true things that are important to you and what your vision and what you ultimately desire and what you really want to envision and create and move towards. What is something that you truly value, and how can you truly create that with somebody else? And as she actually starts to square off against him, ironically, this is really going to be what activates a lot of the choices that we need to make in terms of our overall well-being and our health. Because Jupiter here in Scorpio is trying to heal a lot of the unconscious emotional wounds and baggage that you have, so you can leave that and not bring that into these relationships with you that are really resonating with you on a heart level. That's not to say that there's something wrong with you, because there's always something to heal and cleanse, but Jupiter is healing what Saturn has been digging up a few years ago. And so this is us really having to let go and release of a lot of the pain and a lot of the negativity that we've been exposed to. But this is going to help give us a state of control and a state of sustainability on our emotional body, but also on our spiritual and etheric body, and how we are going to be able to really use our spiritual focus and really understand the complex realm of the emotional and the unexplainable. And now that we're in Cancer season, we're really going to become aware of a lot of the importance of our emotional body and how we need to listen to our spiritual body and what makes us feel good and what makes us feel bad. And as we go to the Capricorn new moon on the 28th, this is really going to be a power struggle, because this is really going to be a fight, because we're really going to, because understand that the moon is in its detriment in Capricorn on Saturn. And so facing off against the planet, or rather the sun, this is really going to be about how well we can truly honor our emotional needs and really fight for our freedom to express ourselves, regardless of how it might come across, or what our image is, or what really is important to other people instead of what's important to ourselves. And Venus is experiencing that with that square to Jupiter, where we really had to understand what is valuable to us and what is important to us, and how we have to have faith in what we know to be true about ourselves and what we know to be true about love. And the interesting quincunx that she's forming to Neptune is really helping you connect with what you ultimately dream of and desire, what is in your heart space and what is calling out to you, what is the thing that you truly believe is real and manifestable, despite the fact that there might not be any evidence or it might not make any sense. Jupiter's going to test you and might even throw you some illusions, because it's retrograde and it wants to show you the importance of believing in yourself even if nobody else does. Because Scorpio is all about the underworld and the underground. It's not seen and it's not understood. And so Jupiter here is bringing the light and the truth to the fact that everyone has these sorts of desires, regardless of how people might feel about it. So it's really going to be about how well do you truly want it versus how well do you really want it, and what is it that you really desire and what you're really hungering for. And Mars now retrograde is now going to have us really reevaluate our identity. And in the heart of Cancer season, or rather the baby steps, is really going to be all about how well we can truly believe in taking action based on our emotion, but how well we can also identify with our emotions and how well we can truly be okay with the dark, negative feelings of the world. Because this is going to be when there's going to be a lot of projection and insecurity, and people might take it out on you in indirect ways, even without them knowing it. And these can be impurities that really don't want you to feel and see what your true power and what your true worth is, because this is all about you reclaiming your light. Holy Cancer is all about ordaining you before you can be truly baptized in the sunlight that is Leo. So you really must face the shadow before you can face the true light, so you can come into balance and harmony, so you can reach perfection in Virgo. Then you can really bring yourself out there and get to the really serious stuff. Of course, this is all serious too, but after that, we move into the third decan on July 1st, ruled by Mars. So this is when we're really going to have to be fighting for our love. And so Mercury now here in Leo is now conjunct the North Node and squaring off against its higher octave of Uranus, where we're really going to identify and connect to the truth of our heart and what is ultimately real and important to us. And the square is going to separate you from ideas and lesser sort of labels and restrictions that no longer resonate with you on an identity level. So this is going to be very powerful, and it's going to help separate you from relationships that don't match the lifestyle that you have to be living. And these people that want to take your power away and want to take your energy and your state of peace and mind away, they're going to be challenged by this, and they're going to feel it on a conscious or unconscious level. So this is going to be when you're really going to have to fight for yourself and fight for your freedom, especially as we're eventually going to have the Cancer new moon opposite Pluto in Capricorn. And so as Venus makes that quincunx to Pluto, there's going to be a lot of heavy truths, but also a lot of heavy manifestation if you really separate from relationships that don't really work for you. They're going to help you find people that truly do value who you are and the unique light and the things that you do. This is going to be when you move forward and you connect to somebody else based on a mental level, but more so how you identify and the attitude and expression that you ultimately have. This is you truly embodying and living in your truth. And if you can master this in the heart of Cancer season, you're really going to come into a great level of connection and abundance, not just in your personal life, but with other people as well. And this whole transit is very soulmate-like, and it's very twin flamey, because this is a lot of fated karmic aspects. And this is really going to be about the decisions that you make based on the healing and the cleansing that you've been doing for so long, especially last Pisces season and even in Gemini season, where we had that square to all that Pisces, where we had to separate from the mundane lies and not truths that we no longer resonate with. And so Venus here is really manifesting things for us based on how well we can truly live in our heart and live in our truth and passion. That's really what's going to be what rewards us all. But we also must be strong and keep on to our light, because as she finishes her transit for the next week until she moves into the ninth, except for when the moon moves into Aries and then again in Leo, or in Taurus rather, when it makes a square, she's pretty much going to be void. So it's really going to be about all of us really investing in our heart and investing in the things that we love and that we want to do and that we find pleasurable, even if nobody else does. Because it's all about us making a stand and really embodying that strong diva like aspect that really knows their worth and knows who they are and knows what their value is. Because Venus is trying to remind you of the importance of standing up for yourself and the importance of fighting for the love in your heart and what it is that you want and what it is that you desire. Because keep in mind, the North Node is in Leo, so it's all about following your heart. So Venus is all about really connecting to those that really resonate with you and those that really vibe with you on a heart and soul level. So you really need to have faith in yourself, and you really need to be brave, even if other people don't get you or don't resonate with you or don't feel the same way you do, because it's all about you reclaiming your love and reclaiming the passion in your heart and what it is that you want to express and what it is that you want to embody. And even as she moves into Virgo, as we go to the Cancer new moon, it's really going to be about manifesting how powerfully you can really, or really how things are going to manifest based on how powerfully you can sincerely connect to your emotional and etheric body. So ultimately, this is going to be a very powerful transit, but only if you are willing to be brave and express your love, even if other people don't understand or get you, even if people don't feel the same way you do, even if people reject you. That just means they reject themselves. Because if you give pure unconditional love without any expectation of receiving, there can be no darkness, there can be no hatred. Because that's why Leo is unconditional love. It's the fixed fire sign because it can burn forever and it can burn for all time as long as it has belief and energy. And so this is really all about us really trying to step up our game so we can move into a spot where we might not feel as comfortable because Venus is in her detriment in Virgo, where she really has to be practical and realistic, and she has to manifest things based on the realistic nature instead of based on her heart. And so we need to keep in mind that our heart is ultimately what's going to be our guide and what is going to help us manifest even when things start to get a little bit boring or dull. So thanks so much for watching, everybody. I truly appreciate this, and I truly appreciate being able to be here and to give you this information. So if you like this video, please leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe. I would truly appreciate it. And if you haven't checked out my channel, go check out Apollodite. I post daily astrology horoscopes as well as special videos just like this one. And if you like daily tarot content, go check out my Facebook and Instagram at Apollodite. And if you're looking for a personal reading with me, go check out my website at soulalignedAstrology.com. So thank you so much for having me once again, beloved. And once again, always remember that only love is real.